Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Doing wonderful, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm very well. Um, Thanks for taking the time today to talk through this and talk through some of what's going on in the Salesforce world. Yeah, I'll kick things off and just explain our background as a company, and then we can obviously understand your businesses and your group and how that looks, and yeah, find out how you're seeing things at the moment in the Salesforce space.
Sounds excellent. Thank you again very much for the invite. Really looking forward to spending some time with you here today and share more about what we're seeing and about our organization as well.
Cool. All right. Sounds good. So if I just explain a bit about Platform 6. So we're a Salesforce specific recruitment business, and have been since we originated in 2017. So coming up to 8 years now in this particular space. We only actually operate in Salesforce. Although in the last sort of 18 months, we've also evolved in ServiceNow, which obviously ties very closely with Salesforce in some respects. So we evolved the business slightly to do that, but it's always been predominantly Salesforce has been our core focus. So we don't really do anything outside of those platforms apart from the digital transformation and AI that ties in with everything as it does so closely at the moment. So yeah, we started that, and actually the focus has been, a lot of our work has been in North America. So that is a few late nights for sure. But also we have done work in UK and in Europe as well, and that's been East Coast to West, and that's been working with various different partners and end users. We've worked with smaller partners, and also we work with some of the bigger names as well. So and I think probably what's interesting from our perspective is that we've managed to have a really high repeat business. So, and I kind of I'm pleased about that in lots of respects, because it probably means we're doing a good job, and people want to come back and talk to us. And as you know, in the Salesforce space, there are typically a set positions and roles on the technical space that people just want to see over and over again. That said, obviously the last 12-18 months has been a funny old time, I would just say.
That's another statement. Yeah.
It's been very challenging. I think obviously companies have gone through massive change and staffing changes, and so I'll be interested to hear your take on that. And I was at Dreamforce over in September as well, and that was very interesting to hear. Not only obviously AgentForce and how that was, going to change the world. Again, it'd be interesting to get your view on that, and also just to see people's real perception on where the market's at and where they see things. And I would also say we've sort of seen an uptick already, I'd say, in the last few weeks, more than any point probably in the previous 12 months, which is not a bad thing. So that's kind of a sort of snapshot, really.
Yes. No, it's I appreciate the background too on Platform 6 and sharing how really we here at Assemble Inc. have been able to hit exactly what you just highlighted, hit the nail right on the head, right? On what are we seeing as trends in the market? How are we able to solve and really solution for a lot of these challenges that we're hearing from our clients and hearing from
Yeah.
folks such as yourself, Matt, where you are looking to be able to utilize staffing and recruiting in the best way possible? How do we do that? How can we actually excel? And where are we making sure that we're ahead of the game in those trends versus consistently being behind because of outside influences, right? As you were just talking, the last 5 years in the tech space, it's been a rough go within different ways. That being said, Sarah Tjarks, I oversee our delivery team here at Blueprint Advisory, and I'd love to share just a little bit on who we are as an organization. So Assemble Inc. is actually led by our CEO, Brandon Metcalf, and our COO, Greg Simmons. In 2009, actually, Assemble CEO, Brandon, began to build an organization called Talent Rover, which was an all-in-one staffing solution built natively on Salesforce. Due to the amazing success that Brandon had there, they actually had propelled Talent Rover to being in 2017, being the Inc.'s 500 list as the 9th fastest growing company in America. Due to that success, and that testament actually spoke to the leadership between both Greg and Brandon, allowing them to sell Talent Rover and having that acquired by his largest competitor in 2018. That really set the foundation for us as an organization, allowing us to springboard off of the success that Brandon and Greg had found, which allowed the Assemble Inc. to really partner and have 2 sister companies underneath our parent company, Assemble Inc. So those 2 sister companies, Assemble is our product company, led by our Chief Product Officer, Chris Davis. And he really oversees a lot of our teams, both on the front end with the product side and really working to understand what are the needs in the market, what are we hearing from our clients. And he also oversees our customer success team, allowing us to take, here's what we are seeing within the product, and here's what we are doing to be able to invest in our product and ensure that we are getting ahead, again, of these trends to be able to provide this and put this back into the hands of people that will allow them to be able to find great ROI and really ultimately find the right candidates for the right positions, which leads to what you were saying, Matt, on just what we've seen over the past few years. So in the Assemble side of the house, they really focus on our product side, and on Blueprint Advisory, that is led by our Chief Services Officer, James Van Steenberg. And we are your full shop with over 2,500 different SIs, so our Salesforce implementers in the ecosystem. Sometimes it's difficult to understand and know who should you move forward with, why are they the best choice, what is going on there. And James has done an excellent job of really building to our core values, which are highlighted on, in one word, our authenticity. So we here at Assemble Inc. embody a culture of relentless curiosity and belief, grounded in trust and integrity, driven by a bias to action and willingness to fail fast, while remaining unwaveringly customer focused and dedicated to fostering the potential of our people. So that has been our guiding light to how do we show up for our clients? How are we showing up in the ecosystem, in the channels, and why would you work with us, and what are you able to gain in working with us as Assemble Inc. as well?
You know what, I find it, because obviously there are so many consultancies out there in the Salesforce space. There are so many partners in the Salesforce space. And I always find it fascinating to understand why is your business, the place to go to, know, and it's because it's so competitive, Yes.
You are absolutely correct. And we just recently actually hired Ken Stolman, who is our VP of Revenue and Marketing. And I think as we have brought on additional talent, that has been at the core of what we're looking for, which is how can we continue to elevate? Why, as you were just asking, Matt, why work with us? With so many choices out there, really what we have found in the ecosystem and what is best is to understand, what are you looking to achieve? What are you looking to achieve within that partner? How are you looking to be able to complete whatever your challenges that you are working on? So depending upon the needs of our clients. Now for Assemble, we have really, really deep expertise in the staffing and recruiting industry, allowing us to focus on those top trends that are occurring in recruiting, allowing the focus on the increased use of AI and automation, focusing on the diversity, equity, and inclusion, which again, these are two top trends that we've really seen in 2024. Another top trend that has continued to really highlight as we have individuals that are rolling out of the workforce, as we see generationally, baby boomers, for example, and other generational folks coming into the workforce, has really forced the conversation on pay transparency. So that's another trend that we're really seeing in the recruiting and staffing industry. That's allowed us to be able to help to understand, what are we doing within our product side? What are we doing as a part of Assemble to ensure that as these trends are coming, that we are ahead of that game and being able to help to support our clients. So in asking the question, Matt, why work with us? It's beyond just, hey, you've got a great team. We have a lot of certifications. We have that deep expertise. But what are you looking for in a partner? And what we have found is that our clients are looking for that partner that they can trust. That authenticity comes through in every interaction that we do. So it comes through in how are we asking those questions, leading with a curious mind. I actually had an old mentor of mine, Colin O'Brien, who had shared, and we had gone through working with a client in a past life, and the client was very curious. And one of the things that he shared that I share often with my team and really live by is there are multiple ways to be able to get to Chicago. Doesn't matter how we get there. You can get there plane, train, automobile, or on the back of a Yeti's back. It doesn't matter. What is important is that we get there. And I think that really highlights, what are we focused on? So what is the need of that client? Are you looking for a one and done project? Great. We probably aren't the best partner for you. We're not going to be able to represent that in what your needs are. And out of those 2,200 different SIs, there's multiple partners that can. But if you're looking for a partner that has the ability to understand what those market trends are, have a great leadership team where we focus on the people and hiring the right folks for these positions as we continue to grow, and ultimately understanding your needs as a client. So where is that expertise? Have you noticed this? How can we help to educate you on the Salesforce ways, for a different way to be able to speak to that? That's really what we can represent in working with us as a partner. So that deep expertise, the authenticity that will show up in every interaction, and really being a partner for life, not just the one and done projects like many different consultancies and partners really focus on out in the ecosystem.
Oh, and how does it work when you've got two sides to the business and one's product, one's delivery? Because that, does that, is it very sort of separate entities that are kind of running, or how does that work?
No, it's a great question. So Matt, what we have been able to really build is a rarity that you find in the ecosystem. I mean, it's a rarity to be able to find an organization that has a SaaS product, which is Assemble, which Assemble is our applicant tracking system. So it is, many recruiters may actually know this, there is a lot of different options out there. That being said, realistically, there's only one option to be able to provide what we are able to provide, which is the ATS product. Our Assemble product sits inside of Salesforce. So you can actually really focus on all of the different pieces that Salesforce also allows us to focus on, right? Salesforce's top trends this year are focused on AI and automation. One of the great things that we've been able to work with in partnership with Salesforce through their product team as well. And as you were sharing, Matt, you were out at Dreamforce. A lot of talk about AgentForce. What's going on? What are we focusing on? What can we do? Salesforce actually partnered with 25 different SIs in the ecosystem to be able to help to bring AgentForce to life within their products. Now, we had the opportunity and the pleasure of actually being chosen as one of those 25. And while we were at Dreamforce, there were only 10 organizations that had an opportunity to be able to be actually with booths and being able to speak to, here's the future of AgentForce, here's what we're focused on. So we at Assemble Inc. were able to be a part of that discussion, and we have Recruiting Agent, which is coming out, which focuses on both what are we seeing in the market from a trend within recruiting and staffing, as well as what are we seeing the top trend within Salesforce, which is that AI and automation, these AgentForce bots. What are we doing with this? How can we help to get the best candidates in front of the right people at the right time? We've been able to pull that all together in Assemble Inc. and being able to share that out with our different clients, and obviously with Salesforce, as they and their product team have even trusted us to be able to share that message too.
Oh, that's very interesting. So have Salesforce supported your business then heavily? Has that been a very entwined relationship, to take your business forward?
That is a great question. And to your point, there's different ways. So I've been able to be a part of the ecosystem for almost a decade. Candidly, I fell into it. So I got laid off from a position, and I was immediately pushed into the space of, oh no, I wasn't quite ready to retire yet. So let's see what we can do. So I was actually kind of put into the space almost a decade ago, and to see what has happened over the past decade and what Salesforce has brought about has been candidly life-changing based upon what you're looking at, what are options out there in the technology itself. And so to be able to see what we are able to do and how to be able to achieve that has really been the focus for us. And apologies, Matt, I just lost my train of thought to answer your question there.
That's all right.
If you could ask me again, I can follow back up on
that. I was just it was about how Salesforce supported you and your business in terms of evolving your that's the product side of the business, really.
So there's different ways to be able to partner and to interact with Salesforce, and depending upon what your go-to-market strategy is, meaning for you as an organization, how do you want to represent in the ecosystem? How do you want to show up? There's different ways to do that. Now, to answer the exact question, has Salesforce been a great partner of us? Ours, absolutely. They have noticed and seen what we are able to bring and how that is a differentiator in the market. There is legitimately no other organization that can offer what Assemble Inc. can offer, with having both sides of the fence. As you said, this is, you have your product side as well as the delivery side of the house. That is great, and that's a rarity in the ecosystem. So we've had the opportunity to partner with the product side of Salesforce. We've had an opportunity, as I shared earlier, Ken, with the different AEs and the different teams on saying, here is what we can bring. Here's how we can help you to increase your CV. But on the flip side, and what for the core for all of us is most important, is how can we help our clients? How can we help to ensure that what they have is going to allow them to be more profitable, allow them to be more marketable? So for us, we partner very closely with Salesforce, absolutely. But we also look for lead generation outside of just Salesforce. So in our clients, in the recommendations, CSATs are very important. How do you represent yourself in that ecosystem as well? We have had a fairly large number of clients who have actually referred us to additional folks because of what we've been able to do with their team.
Right. And in terms of the staffing sector, I find that link very interesting. I've worked in the staffing sector, the technical staffing center, for 25 years now. And majority of that has been in CRM, analytics, and now Salesforce over the last 8 years. So I'm interested to get your take on maybe what you've seen in relation to that sector. Obviously, for the staffing world, it's been a very challenging 12, 18 months, and especially in Salesforce, everyone thinks there's been so many layoffs, so it should be easy to fill vacancies, and that's not actually the reality. So what's your take on that?
You just said it, Matt, right? Which is, there is an assumption that because of these layoffs, because of things that are so much outside of our control, and as I shared, in my career, I've been through a couple of layoffs, and it is the worst feeling, right? But what is important is, it's not just about that. Sometimes that is actually a great opportunity for organizations to grow as well, right? Because you do have talent that may not be to the standard in which you are looking for. So being able to recognize the right people, being able to put your right people in the correct roles really helps to drive to what you're saying, which is what we're seeing in the staffing and recruiting industry. Do you have the right people for the right position? How can we decrease the attrition that we're seeing? How can we increase being able to have the human-centric employer and having that really branded with the teams as well? Now, what have we seen throughout the years? Salesforce, again, they started out as a CRM, right? That's even in the name, what they had started as. They have grown and evolved, and so has the CRM itself. And that's what we've been allowed to do too, is to grow and evolve in the technology. But again, within how are we able to help our clients, which comes down to, when we're talking staffing and recruiting, getting the right people in the right positions at the right time. And at the core, when you're working with, and Matt, you've seen this even within what you do today, it comes down to that relationship, comes down to that human connection. Are you staying in touch with that individual? Matt, I've talked to you, years ago. Are you still checking in with Sarah? Have you checked in to see what's going on recently in their life? How are we able to represent that? So it comes down to that human connection and really ensuring that you don't lose those relationships. So I know I shared earlier, but for myself, it comes down to that one word, authenticity. How are you showing up? Are you true in what you're saying? Have you showcased the
Yeah.
characteristics to be able to be trustworthy and working with these different teams? And again, those teams vary. It's my internal team. I take a lot of pride in how I show up as a leader for our organization, how I represent, but a lot of pride too in what we're able to do from an organization standpoint
Yeah.
on both the assemble side from our product, as well as how we're able to implement on the blueprint side. So in those pieces, it comes down to that human connection and how are you being able to represent in those day-to-day interactions and keeping that over the course of the year so you can get the right person with the right position at the right time.
Because it's a hugely competitive space as well, isn't it? I know having been part of teams that are searching for, or sorry, picking products as well in this space, you know.
Yes.
Whether it's you know, there's so many options, and I have friends that are other recruitment leaders in the space that run companies now, and they've been through similar models. So how do you find that? Because it's yeah, I suppose like everything, it's competitive, isn't it? But you know.
It's true, and you said it too, Matt. It's a very competitive landscape. So what is that piece that allows you to differentiate? My
Yeah.
opinion, very highly on what we're able to. It is our product, but it comes down to our people. So they have the passion in how they are developing that, how we are taking that feedback
Yeah.
from our clients. And that, for myself, that is our differentiator. It's our people. It's allowing us to be able to be in a different space. And if you're looking out there across, you know, what are some of the different competitors in the market when you're comparing, for example, ATS tools, an applicant tracking system? There's nobody else in the market that's even in the same realm of comparison to what we're able to offer. We sit on Salesforce, meaning that you can really focus on having your full 360 customer view. You can understand from the very initiation, your sales team has gone out there, they're selling their things, great. Now we have to staff that team, wonderful. We've got Assemble, the ATS is sitting right within your Salesforce instance. Now we can take that. Now we can take that even further, all the way down the line. Great. Now we have, we want to go ahead and quote some things. So you've got Revenue Cloud and all these different pieces. So it allows you to have that full stack. And Assemble really is focused on how can you assemble your tech stack? How are you able to show up for that? So as we're looking at this, realistically, there aren't any competitors in the space that can do what we can do. That does make it a little bit easier, right? But a part of that means that we have the responsibility, though, to show up, right? Meaning we have to have those industry-specific solutions, both on our Assemble side, as we're looking at the ATS. How do we work with different industries on what they're looking to staff? But on the flip side, having that industry-specific solution for Blueprint, how are we doing and showing up for more than just being able to focus on staffing and recruiting? What are some of the other solutions that Salesforce has as we are an implementation partner to be able to support you outside of just that staffing and recruiting? So when looking at those different competitors, again, realistically, there's not that in the space for ourselves, because we are that unicorn, for lack of a better way to say it, on what else is out there, and how we're able to support our clients and our channel being Salesforce and their teams as well.
Yeah, I suppose it's probably evidence-based as well, isn't it? Because once it's like everything, I think once you do a good job for one staffing firm, or then I suppose it's easier to then go next door and talk to the next one. And I don't know.
Yes, it's very true. And again, Assemble Inc., we are out on the App Exchange. So we have a very large familiarity too with understanding how does Salesforce work? How do you get your apps on the App Exchange? How do you ensure that you're working with the right teams? And at the core, and I know I've shared this a couple of times, but it comes down to that human connection. How are your relationships? How are you investing in those? And that, I think, really kind of breaks down all of those different lines. Whether you're doing an implementation on the Blueprint advisory side, whether you're out there, you know, Ken and his team, and they're selling and they're looking to be able to share what are we doing in the market. It comes down to that human connection. Chris and what he's building with the Assemble team, the reason that we've been able to showcase such an incredible product, as well as being able to get that feedback, comes down to our people. So it is very human-centric and being at the core of what we do. And again, aligning very, very clearly with our core values. One of the things for myself and being here and having the pleasure of being able to serve our team for just over a year, we don't use our core values as just a statement that sits up there that nobody touches or, you know, interacts with. it is really who we are as an organization and embodies how we show up in those different, opportunities that we are presented as well.
Okay, cool. And I suppose from a delivery perspective, then, how have you found the last 12, 18 months? Because I speak to various heads of delivery, VPs of delivery, and
yes,
and and I know I've seen the changes myself in the especially with the contract market in staffing that got hit really hard, and then people were trying to just do their own resourcing and keep their own people busy, and so how have you seen from a delivery perspective the impact of the last 12, 18 months?
It's a great question. So for us here at Blueprint, we have had an opportunity, again, based upon how we built those relationships, on being able to more than double our team in what we've been able to do over the past year. So for us, we are in a unique situation than what, honestly, Matt, what you're seeing a lot of different SIs right now over the past 12 to 18 months. We've been able to showcase growth, and that comes down to how we really are focused on our core values and showing up for our clients. But in hearing and having conversation with mentors and others, it has been a rough go. There have been a lot of, as we chatted earlier, a lot of layoffs in the tech space, a lot of uncertainties in what we represent and how we represent. So for us, how our delivery team shows up is we lead with curious minds. So what is it that you're trying to solve? Also, we would love to spend some time and help to educate you in the process. Did you know Salesforce could do X? Did you know that our Assemble tool can do Y? Did you know that, oh, you didn't know? Let's dive into this further. Let's get you introduced to the right people within your account at Salesforce to make sure you have the right support, both on your Salesforce side of the house, as well as on our side. So for us on the delivery team, we have reusable assets that allow us to be able to show up consistently in the same way with our clients in the way that we are representing our own brand. But on the flip side of that too, it's listening with that curious mind, asking those questions to understand what are they not saying. And I use this term, one of our largest clients that we're working with right now, and they kind of give me a hard time about it because I say, let's get creative. One of our leads, he goes, oh, Sarah's magic. She's going to go do this, which is a bit of a running joke, but the reality is there is no straight line most of the time in how we're interacting and what we're delivering. So it's being able to be flexible, being able to have the relationships built, but there allows that autonomy to understand how can we get creative in this situation? How can we ensure that we're delivering within the time frame that's appropriate? And Matt, I make the jokes too. If there is anybody that ever has a project that they've been able to do with no red, right, at no point in time, they should really pocket that and sell that, because I don't know, in almost 20 years now of being in the space of project management and working with different teams, I've never heard of that happening. So being able to show up though and work through that and find those creative solutions to that is really what I think allows us to be, again, a differentiator in the market.
Sure. Have you seen a particular pattern in terms of the Salesforce products? Because I know having recruited in this space, it seems like certain products come and go. Marketing Cloud, for example, it's been very quiet over the last 12 months.
Yes.
CPQ last year was super busy, and then it's kind of went quiet, and then I don't know. It's very difficult to predict. Don't know how you find it.
It is very difficult to predict. So this past year, this was my first year at Dreamforce, which has been, and we actually had an opportunity, and I'd encourage folks to take a look at our LinkedIn at Assemble Inc. and at Blueprint, because I had an opportunity to do an interview with the CIO of Apex and just sharing, how have we been able to do this at Dreamforce? I share that as the example because I felt very childlike in being able to experience that, right? And being able to go to Dreamforce and being able to see everything and understand what are we working on? How are we, as being a part of this journey with Salesforce, how are we doing that? I share that because this also is the first year that, as I've heard from, peers of mine and friends and others that have been in the ecosystem that have done this for many years, is this by far was the best keynote speaker and the best information that has ever been provided. Last year, they had announced Data Cloud. And I know we know this for many in the ecosystem, but Salesforce loves our vernacular. And this year it's Data Cloud. Last year it was something different. Different ways to be able to share that. So how can we again, if you are a client, how are you able to help to educate and make sure that your clients that may not have that level of expertise, how are you able to help to support them in that? So being a part of this keynote, obviously everything is focused across not just Salesforce, but really our world right now, AI and what do we have? And, I don't know about you guys, but I had an opportunity, Elon Musk had just announced his robots that were coming out. And am I saving? Yes. As a mom of 3, I would love to be able to have that to where I can have some extra help at home. But that is the future, right? Is AI and what we're focused on. But what I don't hear a lot of folks talking about is what we are focused on is only as good as your data. So the reality being is if you don't have the appropriate data, if you are not focused on your full stack solution, working with Salesforce, having Data Cloud, working with both structured and unstructured data, and how to be able to represent what you need as an organization as you are growing, you're missing the game. You are not even playing on that field at that point anymore. So this past Dreamforce, when the announcement came out with AgentForce, it was almost as though the last 4 to 5 years of Salesforce had all culminated in, oh, this is what they were focused on. This is where we were leading. So again, to your question on what is coming out and from a product standpoint, Marketing Cloud, that is great. There are definitely spaces for all of the different products that Salesforce has. But I think really the question that needs to be asked is, what are you trying to solve? Not what product is out there necessarily, but what are you trying to solve? What is your challenge as a business user? What is your challenge? Again, using my example of Elon Musk, my challenge as a mom, I can't keep up, right? I love what I do. I love being able to support my kids, and I can't keep up with the chores and the cooking and all of that all the time. So how can you solve that challenge? And I think that's often lost even as you were just asking that, Matt, like, what are the new products out there? I don't focus so much on the products. What is your challenge? How can we solve that challenge for you? And also, because of who we are as an organization and Assemble Inc. having our product side, we're able to answer those questions before folks even know what to ask. Oh, you needed the opportunity to be able to see the best person, to be able to have this in a very easy flow, your Kanban boards, to be able to very flexibly move all of these candidates into the next best position. Great, we've already solved that for you. So it's also allowing yourself to partner with the right folks. So I encourage folks not to necessarily focus on what is the product, but focus on what is your challenge, what are you looking to solve? And hey, give us a call. We are more than happy to help you.
Sounds good. I suppose it's hard because there are so many new products every year as well, isn't it, from Salesforce? So I sometimes wonder, does it get lost because there is just another new product coming out, and people, it just blows people's mind about, right, okay, what do we do now? I don't know. It's just so, every year I go, obviously it's a learning experience as much as anything, but I find it kind of, you just wonder how many products can you have, how many names of things can you have,
Well, too, Matt, I mean, Salesforce just acquired On Backup. There's, in Salesforce is their M&A team. What are they focused on? If you look at their growth, a lot of their growth has also been due to their mergers and acquisitions and being able to see, again, having that secret sauce of being able to see what's out there and being able to provide that solution before folks even know that it was a challenge. Salesforce has done an excellent job on being able to market into that. And to your point, are there a ton of products out there? Absolutely. But the beauty in that is there is also a product for every single client, for every single purpose in which you're looking for. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate in having, again, over the past decade of being able to work with Salesforce and being able to work in the ecosystem is there is always an answer for whatever your problem is. But I think that challenge really comes down to, are you working with the right partner to find that answer? Did you understand what your needs were to understand it creatively enough on how you are solutioning that? There's a lot of different partners out there. And because of that, I mean, humans are human, right? So there's human error that exists. There's bad implementations, there's bad partners, there's all of that existing out there. So how are we able to show up and educate folks on the different products on, hey, you need this, hey, you might not need that. It's being able to have that three-legged stool where you've got your clients, your great SI partner, Blueprint Advisor here, and then Salesforce. And it's not siloing that out and just doing it separately. It's understanding as an entire team there, what is it that we're focused on? What are we able to help to support you through? And hey, let's go and celebrate this together.
Cool. And I suppose the question that everyone gets asked every time, so I'll ask you it, Sarah. What do you think? what do you think the impact of AgentForce will be, and what have your business already started to utilize that?
Yes. Yes and yes. What do I think the impact is going to be? I don't think any of us really know yet. I think that it is completely untapped in what we are seeing, even in the trends, and in all the data and the analytics that are out there. We still have no idea. We know that it is something that is going to change, though, technology as a whole. And as you mentioned, at Dreamforce, they walked us through SaaS and being able to do what they had showcased with the with AgentForce, and being able to showcase everything that they had done. I also spent a little bit more time at the SaaS area when they were there with their booth, because it's so cool to be able to see that. But I don't think any of us know what that looks like right now. And how are we, though, at Assemble Inc., ensuring that we are not just a part of that journey, but really being on the forefront of that journey. As I shared earlier, being able to be invited from Salesforce's product team to be a part of that journey, and being able to have our recruiter agent out in our product, and being able to utilize AgentForce. And candidly, there's a lot of other things happening right now, but as we are continuing, can't share all of that with you guys, but definitely something to follow, because we are doing really, really great things with our Assemble product and the ATS, and how we are able to represent that. And AgentForce is infused in what we are doing and how we are supporting our clients. So at the core, do I think any of us know? Not necessarily, but it is excellent. And it is a great feeling to not only be a part of that journey, but being on the forefront with our teams.
Sure. And do you think, what do you think the signs are for the future, for the next 12 months? Because like you say, you've seen layoffs in the past, and there's been lots of those stories in the last 12 months. I hope, and I think there is signs we're coming out of that. So, which is amazing, and we're all relieved about that. But I also don't get too carried away, having worked especially in the recruitment industry so long. I don't think anyone can. So what's your take on that, Sarah?
My take is that we're not living in a Terminator movie. I'll say that, right? We're not there by any means. But I think as we continue to move forward, it's really focusing on that enhanced human and AI collaboration. So how are we utilizing these technologies and tools? Because they really were intended and designed to augment human decision-making and creativity rather than replace it. So we see different industries really focused on that in a different way. And I know we're talking staffing and recruiting, but there's healthcare and education and customer service. These other industries are also able to leverage AI to empower their professionals and their staff to have faster and more accurate outcomes. But in focusing on that, really having both of that AI collaboration and the human interaction to be able to enhance what you're doing. So I do see us coming out of that. Part of that, though, I think lies with individuals and really focusing, again, on the staffing and recruiting industry. Are you ensuring you're ahead of what are these trends coming out? Are you certified? Are you aware of what's coming? Are you reading the right books? Are you listening to the right conversations in webinars and other pieces? One of the things, and sharing React too, that I do, and my kids make fun of me on this, but every single morning I listen to, as I'm getting ready in the morning, I listen to Audible, and I listen to different books that help me really focus on myself and how can I better show up across the board, both in my personal life and professional life. But coming down to how are these professionals, what are we seeing? It's really focused on that human and AI connection and finding that collaboration, because AI was originally designed to help us, not to hurt us, and to really focus on augmenting that decision-making and creativity together.
Yeah. It's interesting. You mentioned certifications there, which I have 2 or 3 years ago. It seemed like all anyone wanted to talk about was certifications, and thankfully people have stopped talking about that quite as much now. So why do you think that is, and do you think it's just because, I don't know, there's a new topic to talk about, or the industry is evolving slightly, or people are getting more, I don't know, more mature thoughts about the importance of them? Maybe I don't know. I'd be interested to get your take on that.
So I've always said I think certifications are very important in the sense that it is another tool in your tool belt, meaning that you have the capacity to be able to help to support again, depending on what we're talking about here, but if we're talking in our clients and how we're completing and really focused on those implementations, those certifications allow you to be able to say, hey, I am an expert, and allows people from an outward perspective to know you know the material well enough. As things have transitioned, though, over the past, I would say probably 6, 7, 8 years, we are finding that a lot of folks can memorize some really great things, and those certifications might have lost some of that lackluster. So for myself, I really see it as an additional tool in your tool belt. How are you able to use that? On the flip side of that, if you're focused on BAs, there's BA certifications outside of just what Salesforce offers. Talking for project managers, very similarly, there's certifications outside of just what Salesforce offers.
Yeah.
So I think that these certifications, regardless of what they are, whether they're in the Salesforce ecosystem or outside of that, they're a tool in your tool belt. However, what I think becomes the most important is, do you have the expertise in that human connection, right? How are you showing up? Are you asking those right questions? Because as much as you can pass the test, and by no means, I am not an architect. I make jokes about that all the time. I know I couldn't pass those exams. There are some really incredible, brilliant minds in our ecosystem. And those minds are really great, but it's also as important to be able to connect with the people that you are talking to and understand what their needs are. Because as much as you could have this solution, your solution is only as good as what you're understanding. So certifications, yes, they've kind of gone a bit roller coastery in the sense of, here's what we have, here's what you should focus on, here's what's new in the ecosystem from, as you were sharing earlier, Matt, the products that we're rolling out, etc. But for me at the core, it's always been, this is a tool in our tool belt on how we can continue to showcase our expertise and show up. But having people that have lived through what you're going through, which again, Brandon and Greg, our leaders, our fearless leaders, our CEO and COO, they've done this. Brandon was in the staffing and recruiting industry for over 20 years, having multiple roles, and saw those challenges. James on the delivery side has been in the Salesforce ecosystem for 18 years, being a part of Big Four and other areas. So our leaders really understand the industry focus as well. So it's not just about those certs, but about, you've lived and breathed that chaos. You've lived and breathed how to be able to find those challenges and to be able to solution for those very quickly too.
Cool. That answers my question. There's a lot. You find a lot of these sort of topics in the ecosystem that come and go and kind of disappear and become less important, but then the next year it becomes a hot topic. So I just thought I'd ask you about that. Cool. Do you have any questions for me at all, or is there anything that you wanted to ask?
Now, Matt, I'm very curious too, as you're sharing, because one of the things that you mentioned that we have seen is, so obviously for those that are listening, I live in the States and I'm out of Des Moines, Iowa, and Matt, you're in the UK. Where specifically, as you're sharing it? So being able to have these cross-functional teams, but what we've really found is there's a lot of people globally that are interested in this. So how can we take these different experiences on, hey, you're in the UK, I'm in the States, we've got these time challenges, all of that. How have you found in your role and what you're doing with Platform 6 to be able to understand globally what the needs are while also being able to meet those? And again, I know, Matt, it's very late where he is right now as we're chatting too. So what have you been able to identify though across the globe in helping to really continue to expand your business with Platform 6?
Yeah, I think to be honest, it actually doesn't matter where you are, and you kind of, as an individual, you just learn to manage your own time and the clients and the demands and stuff. So I found when I set up our business nearly 8 years ago, everyone was like, "You're crazy. How are you gonna deliver to America from the UK?" But as so many companies have started their businesses in the UK and evolved them into particularly North America, and I found that it was more about you mentioned core values before, and I think it's about whether you're on the other side of the pond or not, you build those relationships with people, and that's why I've made an effort to go to Dreamforce every year, because I'm dealing with people all year round, but it's nice just to say hello and just have a coffee and have 10 minutes to kind of just put a face to a name again. And
Yeah.
and it really is about trust, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about authenticity. And I mentioned before about repeat business, and that is all based around, I think, trust in the people that you deal with, and it goes
Mm-hmm.
both ways, from a client perspective and from a recruitment perspective. And I find if clients trust you and they know that you're going to take on board what they say, and you're going to listen to them, and you're going to try and give them the best recruitment solution without just trying to force people through the door.
Mm-hmm.
I think people value that, and they value honesty, and integrity is one of our values. So
Mm-hmm.
I find that is as powerful as where you sit in the world.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't matter if
Very
you were
true.
recruited from Brazil, Argentina, France, UK. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I think if you can build that level of trust and confidence, and people value what you do and what you say, then I think you can make things work. And
Yeah.
that's kind of been my principle, really, to help grow our business into what it's been. The other thing I would say, I think, is specialism,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so easy, especially in recruitment, and
Mm-hmm.
having worked in 3 or 4 big global corporates previously that sold their businesses for millions and millions.
Yes.
One thing that was common is that they had very niche spaces that
Mm-hmm.
they operated in. And a bit like you're saying, you operate within the staffing sector.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you can operate a niche service to people,
Yeah.
I think you can react quicker. You can
Mm-hmm.
be super responsive and collaborative,
Yeah.
and you have a knowledge of the sector. I think all of those things help you deliver. So that's kind of, it's a long-winded answer to kind of say
Yeah.
that's how I've done it. It's not been absolutely, people don't even ask me where I'm based. They don't care.
Yes. Yes. I absolutely hear you. And Matt, you just highlighted that too. And for us in that niche, again, Assemble Inc., we have the best of both worlds. Blueprint Advisory being able to provide any level of implementation that you and your teams are looking for in the Salesforce ecosystem. Not only we can do that, but we can do that with bells on. We have an incredible team that can really showcase what your challenge is, being able to solve that together, and being able to create some magic. And on the flip side, which again, this is something that is such an incredible journey here for us. And we often say we're riding the rocket ship, right? Like, we are out there, but having Assemble Inc. with our Assemble product, that is a unique place that very few, if anyone, is actually able to offer, having both of those arms, having the product side and being able to help staffing and recruiting companies with an ATS solution, while also having our implementation side of the house with Blueprint, being able to have the best in class implementations and partnerships that y'all are looking for.
Yeah, and I would just add, I think it is a unique offering, because I don't, having dealt with lots of particularly partners,
Yeah.
they're very much delivery, and that is
Yes.
the service they offer. And I would ask you one further final question, really. I find the implementation sector fascinating, because and there is certainly a feeling, I think, that it's not done in the best way all the time, and
Yeah.
the implementation of projects by many companies is not that successful,
Mhm.
and that causes friction. It causes resentment, because there's a lot of
Yes.
cost spent in these things. So just
Mhm.
my final question to you, Sarah, because I think it's been really interesting to hear what you've talked about tonight,
Yeah.
is what's your perception on that, and is that the reality of of what is going on out there?
Unfortunately, it is. And I hate to say that, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, it is. There are some partners that are out there that they don't take the same approach, I would say, as what we do here at Assemble Inc. and specifically at Blueprint. And again, I come back to our core values, but the ability to, we are driven by a bias to action, meaning we are going to get in, we are going to work very hard for you as our client. But there's a willingness to fail fast, because guess what? We're human. You are going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen both on our client side as well as on our side. And it's being able to acknowledge, hey, this was a great opportunity. Here's how we can move things forward. And what I have found in some of the consultancies out there is that folks are unwilling to take ownership or unwilling to understand that at the core, this is a partnership for all of us. If you fail, we fail. And I think far too often consultancies are focused on, okay, we got to sell this, we got to get it going. Now it's done, move to the next. That's not what we are about. It's about building that partnership and having the same excitement, the same long nights, the same frustrations that we all do, right? Because we are a part of that team as an additional grouping to that. So for us, that's where we've really found our success.
Yeah, wonderful, brilliant. All right, well, thank you very much. It's been fascinating to hear. Sounds like you've got a great business there. And so like you say, I do genuinely see it as a unique offering because of the two sides to the business, and that's something I've learned today. So there you go.
Well, Matt, thank you again so very much for the opportunity to be able to chat with you, all of our listeners here too. To your point, there's nobody else out there in the ecosystem like us. We are definitely that rocket ship and that unicorn out there being able to offer both. So it's been such a pleasure. Thank you for sharing more about Platform 6 and what you guys are doing. But I really appreciate the opportunity to come and chat with you today.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Sarah.